Welcome to Revoicing the Future, a Women of NAMM podcast, presented by AKG. Just as one revoices a chord, Revoicing the Future creates a completely new perspective on the invaluable notes that make up the whole. It will uplift women's voices in the music products industry, which have earned their time to be the root of the chord. Once a month, you can catch productive and valuable conversations with women working in manufacturing, retail, the nonprofit sector, music education, touring, and overall women who inspire us. Together, we can help shape the future of our industry, one interval at a time. This podcast is co-produced and edited by Natalie Morrison, Stephanie Lamond, and Julia Olsen. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Revoicing the Future. I'm your host, Natalie Morrison, and Stephanie's back.
I'm back. Hi.
I feel like it's been a while since you've been in these intros.
Yeah. We've had a very busy few months, so I feel like we've been in the phase of you just feel like, I'm just going to do it. I've been like, beautiful. Perfect.
Yes, but then the thing though
is... you also have been busy.
I feel like if I do it with you, I know I can do it in one take, but if I'm by myself...
Also fair. We do get a lot of fun texts of the little clips of, oh God, Julia, I'm starting over. It's adorable.
I saved one and I sent it around to a couple of friends and I was like, do you want to see what it's like behind the scenes? Because I just sounded so sad. I was like, I'm starting over, Julia.
It's less fun alone. I mean, yeah, and busy is a good problem to have too.
Yes, but all good things. We have a jam-packed schedule of guests upcoming. I think this is the longest we've been
rocking and rolling. Feels great.
I know. I can't believe that it's April. You didn't know I am moving in May to California.
Yeah.
So I will no longer be the East Coast, New York based Natalie.
For now, can be a chapter. Maybe one day you'll end up back there, but for now we get to see what California Natalie's like.
How are you, Steph?
Oh, I'm good. I'm tired. As we're recording this, it is the day after St. Patrick's Day. So I played a very fun gig. I've been gigging so much in the last few weeks and have realized if anybody else is a musician on here listening, and you as well, Natalie, it's exhausting. I love it with all my heart, but I'm noticing the day after a gig, I am in a very weird headspace. I'm just like, why am I so like, and then I realize, oh, it's because I'm exhausted. So just a note of, I'm with you for anybody else listening to this that also feels that way. I'm sure everybody does, but it took me a while to actually have that self-aware realization that I probably need to be kind to myself or, budget in a lighter day after a gig, which I'm having a light day today. It's very lovely, but still like be aware and know. And also maybe, drink tea throughout the day. What are the little things that make me feel calm and cozy and lessen any burnout?
I literally have been thinking about making like a box of what I need to help calm me down from being burnt out or if I'm overly anxious.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I made a list of that a while ago, like things that make me feel like me. And you just have a cheat sheet because also in those moments, sometimes it's hard to remember what those things are. So if you just have a box, it's a great thing. You could even do like where you write them and put them on little things and you can just like pick it out of a box and be like, oh, I do this. Or were you talking about having a little like survival box where you open it and there's a tea bag or there's,
Yeah.
You just go to this and everything's there. I like that better. Mine involves more work in the moment. You like are preloading the work for yourself, which is kind.
Exactly.
I like that. These are the real things.
These are the real things that we discuss on the day-to-day. But enough of that. We're excited because we have a really exciting guest today.
We do. Who would probably be happy for us for putting these systems in place to keep on keeping on. I feel like.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Good job, gals.
She'd be so proud. Whitney, I hope you're smiling as you're listening. Anyway, spoiler alert. We are chatting with Whitney Brown Grissafi, who is the president of Ted Brown Music, located in Tacoma, Washington, and their 6 other locations. She also currently serves on the NAMM executive committee, and she is also a former past president of NASMD, which that just happened. So good timing.
Yeah. Oh, very good timing.
Right?
Yeah, it was such a wonderful conversation. Oh my gosh. She's just incredible leadership wisdom in there. There's so much that I feel like I learned, and I know you did from talking to her. Someone that and I say this in the episode, just really happy is in our industry, making decisions in our industry. I feel like we're in good hands with Whitney out there operating in the music space too.
Yeah, for sure. And she said it really beautifully too, that she sees the bigger picture and is just like, okay, how do we get there? And it's focused on, okay, that's the goal. Let's kind of funnel our way in that direction.
Yeah. And people first. She talks a lot about making sure you have the right people around you and empowering your staff and how to do that well. It's just wonderful and inspiring.
And running a family business.
Yeah. And navigating all
and
that.
And inspiring the next generation of her family. Yeah. Shout out to Garrison.
Yep. While giving not too much pressure and just enough to know people are welcome. It's such a finesse in an industry of relationships. There's so many niche relationships too on the day-to-day, right? That everybody navigates. And one of them happens to be a lot of the people in our industry are doing it with family, which is very charged.
It is very charged.
And amazing and fulfilling, but has a very different way of managing things, I would feel, than ones that are not family related and or probably just compartmentalizing. I don't know. That's a whole nother episode probably for
sure.
Just only talking to people that run family businesses about the nuances of navigating like the day-to-day. I feel like we get high level with Whitney, but I think there's more to be said and learned from like the minutia part of that.
Table that for later.
Table that.
Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this chaotic introduction and enjoy Whitney's interview even more.
A very unchaotic episode of Whitney being just calm and centered and the leader we need. I wish she was here with us right now. But either way, I hope we've done you justice, Whitney. We were so grateful to have you join us. And I can't wait for everybody to listen to and hear from her.
Yeah. So without further ado, we'll talk to you later. Hi, Whitney. Welcome to Revoicing the Future. We're so excited to have you join us this month.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
As always, we start our episodes just wanting to hear your history in the music retail space because you come from a family that has a retail store. So let's hear your journey.
Well, at one point in time, you said to me something about, well, was it just written in the stars? And maybe it was because I was born into the family I was born into. And at 12 years old, I decided I'm going to take over the store. And I announced that to my parents. And I said, so just know that that's going to be me. And that's what's going to happen. And
just a play.
Yeah. And my parents, to their credit, okay, Whitney, if that's what you say, very patiently. And I'm number 3 of 4 kids. So to technically be a middle child and still have the oldest child syndrome is definitely a way to describe me. And that was kind of it. I was 12. I decided that. Finished high school, went to college, started down my business degree, and went home one weekend and said, I hate the business classes. Maybe I don't want to go into business. Mm-hmm. And my dad was really a really great mentor for me. But I don't want to ignore the fact that my mom played a huge role too. But my dad just looked at me and said, so then take classes that you want and major in whatever you want. I can do that? Yes. He gave me permission to do that. And I said, permission, they were paying for my college. So there was a certain amount of, well, you've already said you're going to come to the company. So I expect you to have a certain amount of business acumen. But what is it you really want to do? Well, my major turned out to be speech communication, which is interpersonal communications, not journalism. It really was like speech writing and how to communicate with others, body language, and how to interpret the spoken word and the written word and all that stuff, and with a business minor. And it turned out to be a really great route for me because I use that every day, right?
Yeah, especially as a business owner. Like that's a really great skill to have.
Yeah. So I did that, got out of college. And also to my dad's credit, he said, great, now you're done. go find a job, and it's not going to be with Ted Brown Music. I worked through college, but a little bit at the store, but also I had a college job because you got to get spending money somehow. But he's like, go find something else to do. I don't care what you do. Just go get some experience outside of Ted Brown Music in the real world. And I ended up thinking, hey, I have a degree. I'm going to be worth something. Yeah. The real world sets you straight on that. So you have a degree and $3 will get you a cup of coffee. So I started as a receptionist for a mortgage banking office. And what we did was not only home loans, but a lot of commercial loans. And so I started off as a receptionist. And because I did have a degree and I'm probably more educated than the average receptionist, certainly at that time, I lasted there for about 3 months. And then they're like, oh, we're going to have you be a loan processor. And so they moved me into loan processing. And I worked with commercial developers and on speculative home loans. So that was really eye-opening for me because you're messing with people's money. And I knew the music business so well. I knew how to work at Ted Brown Music. I knew how to help customers. And I knew how not to make mistakes. I didn't know how to do that in the mortgage business. So it was a really good learning experience for me. And learning about money and lending. And one of the funnest parts of that job was doing the site inspections. So I'm working in a banking setting. So I'm in professional attire. And at that point in time, it's nylons and high heels and skirts. I have rubber boots and a raincoat in my trunk so I could walk out to construction sites and inspect where they were in the construction phase so that I could release the funds so that they could continue their construction. And that was actually one of the funnest things, was going to the construction sites and doing that.
Yeah. Sounds like a scene from the movie or something.
Getting out there. It's just a perfect first kind of job too, where you're finding everything out. You're just doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And everybody was older than me. I was like, little Whitney. Yeah. Come on in, Whitney.
Yeah, just pure moxie at that point. Just like, I'm here.
Yeah. Yes. So that was fun. And I did that for about 2.5 years. And then things changed at the store. We had gone through professional succession planning. Back to my parents, give them all sorts of credit.
Yeah, wow.
So 4 daughters, what do you do with 4 daughters and who are starting their careers and living life? And yet that you want to retire at some point in the foreseeable future. So what are you going to do? They hired a professional succession planning firm who interviewed all of us. So all of us are in our 20s at this point. I was newly married. My younger sister had just graduated from college, and my older sisters were older, so they were married. And we had to decide, are you in or are you out?
Yeah. Wow.
And 2 of the 4 of us said in, and the other 2 said we're out, and a different plan was made for them. So Stephanie and I were in, and I am so happy that it has worked out as well as it has. Growing up, there's a big gap between Steph and me age-wise. And I was always just that younger sister she didn't care about. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, and now we have to work together. What's that going to be like? And it's better than either of us ever expected it to be.
Oh.
Yeah. How did that work too with I guess there's so many layers to that, right? There's the age thing, which is the power thing, but also did you have different interests already in terms of aspects of the business, or was that still also something you needed to kind of figure out as you went?
It is definitely something we had to figure out. We didn't know at first. And granted, when we both said we were in, she and her then husband, who has since passed, but he was also in the business with us. And they were running 2 stores in Eastern Washington for us. And so we weren't even working together at the time, but they eventually came back to Western Washington to the Tacoma store, and he got out of the business. And so then Steph and I just kind of started to find our way as to who had what competencies, who had what interests. And she put it well a long time ago. She said, well, I'm hardware, meaning herself. Stephanie says, I'm hardware and Whitney's software, as in Whitney's a soft, squishy people thing. She gets to deal with all those people and all the soft stuff and feelings and talking to people. And if you mess it up on the computer, I'll fix it for you. That's what I do. That's what Stephanie does.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's a beautiful.
It's perfect too.
It
and
really
that's the
is.
perfect match right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And because of that, as we started to really define our more leadership roles, my dad got sick in 2002, and the medicine he was on really took him away from us.
Mm.
And yet he's still president of the company and has to
Mm.
sign legal documents.
Oh, that's so hard.
So at this point, Stephanie and I are majority stockholders. So we get together and we're like, we need a new president. And we both agreed. And I said, and it's got to be me. And she said, yep, it's got to be you.
Wow.
So we went to our
Mhm.
parents and said, hey, we need a new president, and it's going to be Whitney. And they're like, oh, thank heavens we didn't have to choose. Okay, yes, let's have a stockholders
no.
meeting and vote, and we're done. And so everybody thinks I'm the older sister. I just act like the older sister.
That's so funny.
And you know how to step out front and say that.
Exactly.
It's just such a perfect balance.
It is. And bless Stephanie for who she is,
Yeah.
because she agreed and she makes it easy, and I make it easy for her. And yeah, we didn't know that we would work so well. And now my kids see how nicely it works and see, oh, it's okay to be in a family business because it can work.
Well, that's a really great segue. Did the advice and the wisdom that your father gave you when you were looking and going to colleges and stuff, did you instill that same wisdom onto your children when they were going to college and trying to figure out if they were going to be in or out?
I'd like to say I was wise in anything I did with my kids, but reality is they'll tell you no. But as for that, I was never pressured to be in the business. None of us were. And so I tried to do the same for my kids. So I have 3 sons. Garrison is my middle son, and Garrison's the one that works with me at Ted Brown Music. And same thing, we tried not to pressure the kids into thinking you have to be part of the business. Do what you love. And so, yes, when they went to college, all of them were encouraged to do what they love or what interested them. And so 3 very different men at this point, and 3 very different career paths. One is in the business. One is a chiropractor, went to school to be a chiropractor, was kind of like I knew at 12 I was going to do this. Well, he didn't know at 12, but he knew in high school. So he went to school, and man, he got his doctorate in as short a period of time as could be because he was driven and he knew what he wanted to do. So that's what he does. And then Garrison was a business major. He knew what he wanted. The youngest is a finance and an accountant. And Garrison is now trying to recruit him to come back as his hardware to Garrison's software.
Aw.
And
I was going to say, that sounds like a similar kind of balance there.
yes,
That's perfect.
yes. And so, if we succeed, then I'll have 2 of my sons be part of the business. And that's what we've got.
Oh.
Here's hoping. They'll be the 4th generation.
Wow. That's so special.
Yeah,
That's so special.
I think so. And I think they do too. And I just love the fact that Garrison wants his brother to come, and that his brother Carson thinks, yeah, I could do that. Okay. So, yeah,
That's beautiful.
it is. I love my boys.
Aw.
The
And I
ones
love
we
that
know are
they
pretty
love
great.
each other.
I
Yeah.
bet they're all wonderful too, because we're big fans of Garrison. So.
Oh, yes.
Well, and now that Carson has come to NASMD, he's like, oh, this industry's fun.
Yeah. I know. I wonder how accounting conferences are versus ours.
Just give someone a resort and a pool.
It's not going to be bad.
Amazing. Well, and so with that in mind too, with the family aspect to it, like I think getting into retail, family business, all of that, like what are for you some of the most special things about one, I suppose it's 2-part of retail, but also having the family aspect of it too. What do you love and what keeps you on this side of it too, after being in music for the whole duration of it?
What do I love about retail? So 2 things. What I love about music retail.
Yeah, good differentiation.
My favorite part is doing the play test and helping a child discover, oh, I can make a sound. Oh my gosh, I could do it. This is real. I can do this. And that never gets old. It's so emotional. It's emotional for the kid, and it's emotional for me, and it's emotional for our employees too that have the chance to do that. So that's the thing. And retailers get to do that. That's one of our pieces that we play as a retailer in the music industry. And being in a retail store that's as old as we are, we're 93 years old this year, talking to parents and sometimes grandparents going, I got my first instrument there, or I got my kid's instrument there. And having those generations come back and being a part of the community as long as we've been, not only in Tacoma for 93 years, but even in our other outlying locations, our other stores, 40 years old now and outside of Tacoma. So we've been part of that for a couple of generations. That's what I love about retail is those relationships and that connection you make with your customers. That's what's fun. And selling stuff, selling cool stuff, oh, that's fun too.
I would love that. That's beautiful. So with music retail, what are the industry challenges that are on your mind these days? And what do you think are the opportunities out there and the shifts that need to happen to address them? Because you've done a pretty good job, and we'll dive into that about just diversifying your offerings.
Well, I think in particular, I don't know if I can speak for retailers. I can speak for me. As a retailer, I think we're having kind of this identity crisis. What value do we bring to the end user? We know what we bring, but there's always been a threat to us as retailers in the music industry about what do we bring to the table? And first it's the catalogs. Everybody's going to go to the catalog, and then it comes online. And then it is the big box stores and people dabbling in music that aren't really in music. And then it's our manufacturers deciding that it's more productive for them to sell directly to the consumer. So where does a retailer fall? What value do we bring? And I never question that we bring value because I know we have a place. But we all have to remember that as a retailer, we bring value. The manufacturers who know that maybe the end user wants to buy directly from them because that way they know they're getting the product. They're getting the product that's not a knockoff or some kind of counterfeit thing. But as I recently heard, does somebody really want to mail a piano and drop it off on somebody's front porch? No, that is not a good end user experience.
No.
Think piano, think even digital piano, think drum set. That is not the good experience that any of us want to have for the end user. The retailer is important because we're the ones that are going to let them have the feel for that instrument, actually try it out, have it set up, make sure that it's delivered properly and that it's working when it gets to their home. You make a decision about a product that you want, and you want a guitar, let's say. But what guitar?
Yep.
When you go to that manufacturer, you get the choice of all of their brand guitars. But how do their brand guitars compare to a different brand guitar? That's what the retailer does. You want something that sounds sweet and smooth and is going to fit your body? Well, I've got 3 or 4 different brands that are going to do that for you. What feels the best? What sounds the best? What speaks to you? That's where we as retailers have. So I think it's an opportunity. It's a threat because in the sense that, are we going to go away? And that's what makes it feel like a threat is like, maybe they're just going to think we're not important anymore. But I know we're important just for little things like that. Or maybe that's a big thing actually. And the little stuff is, and oh, by the way, I've got all the other things that you need that the manufacturer of that product doesn't sell, but you need it for that product. Let's say it's an electric guitar. You need the cable. You need the amplifier. You need the extra strings. You need the case. You need the tuner. You need the box.
Yeah, the bag to put it in. It's just endless. There's so much there that is so important and interesting. And this has been really top of mind to me. I've been thinking about this a lot from the artist standpoint and recorded music revenue stream, but this completely applies in the way that everything is kind of an open loop. Right now, like we don't really have an industry that is keeping the money within itself. And so I think that's a really good example of someplace where to make a long-term music maker, you kind of need that. It seems that it is a much more tangible, more personal, more likely to last connection with music and with an instrument that you get when you're getting that kind of introduction to it. And I think that is so much more sustainable for a long-term music maker, say, right? That will stay in the industry, keep buying things in the industry. I love my guitars, but I don't know that I've had the experience of making sure I have the exact right guitar for me, right? It's such a unique thing. And that's what we hear about with all of our heroes. We're like, oh, this is my guitar I've had for all of my life and it's beat up and it's perfect. And so there's aspects of that that I think we all as an industry, like you were saying, need to remember exactly as you said, because it's an intrinsic part to making our industry what it is, like the personality and the texture of being a music maker. And we cannot still get that if we lose that connection. You don't really get it otherwise unless you need it.
Yeah, it is that. And it's that middle connection. And so while I think it's still a challenge, I don't blame any manufacturer for wanting to reach out directly to their customer. That's an important piece too. And I think there's an opportunity to continue to have both opportunities so that they are opportunities and not threats. Because, yeah, we're giving that touch point that is so important in specifically, I think, in the products that we sell.
I love that. So let's talk about diversifying your store. I watched your Breakfast of Champions interview that you did.
Oh, gosh.
I think it was like right before COVID hit.
It was, yeah.
Like 4 years ago. But you talked a lot about diversifying your store and investing in your employees and how that's critical to the health of a business, especially a family-run business. So can you talk to us about how you did that with Ted Brown's footprint in the pro audio space, and why was this important for you?
Yes, I'm happy to talk about that. That conversation happened 4 years ago, right before, the world changed.
Yeah. And so what happened after that too? I'm sure there's an interesting part too.
Well, so talking about being diversified, school music shut down. Our friends that were just school music retailers had a really difficult time because we were more diversified. I'm still selling guitars. I'm still selling keyboards. We were busier than ever, specifically for those products. But my stores were shut. They were closed to the public. And in Washington State, we were closed for over 2 months. But my audio video lighting department was open because as construction, it was considered essential. So all of those employees kept coming to work. All of those employees kept doing their jobs, showing up and being on the work site because building was still happening. And so that was one of those, who'd have guessed that audio video lighting installation was going to be one of the main things that kept money coming in the door during a time when the normal bread and butter wasn't happening. So things for which to be thankful. So yes, to be diversified that way was really helpful in that time period. But also I had an employee that had reached kind of his top. He'd grown with us from an entry-level position into leadership, took the position he was in and said, okay, I'm done. I'm tapped out and I'm burned out. I don't want to do this anymore, but I do want to do this. And this was going down this AVL path. And so not wanting to lose him and wanting to be able to support and give him some wings to grow and a chance for us to see what might happen. Okay, let's invest in this. And so we invested in it in the sense that we got him a coworker who had some really good skills and just said, okay, go see what you can do. And as they grew the business, then we continue to add equipment. We continue to add product lines. We continue to add people and skilled labor, literally skilled labor, meaning we have electricians, we have riggers, we have sound engineers, we have programmers. So we kept adding that to support the growth. And that department produces as much in our sales as any one of our store locations.
Wow.
And they're not a retailer. And so much so, and this all happened in Eastern Washington because that's where the employee was, that's where we grew. But now we're doing a lot of driving from Eastern Washington, Western Washington, and that's a 4-hour drive. So it's no small investment.
No.
So what we now have is we have AVL West and AVL East. And AVL West right now consists of one person. He's the salesperson, but he's kind of like we started in Eastern Washington. You have a salesperson. Pretty soon, we're going to get that second person. He's a sales and design person. So as his skills grow, we'll add on employees to support him. Right now, Yeah, we're driving from Eastern Washington to do the projects in Western Washington, do the installations and all that business. We're making the bid so it works for us to do that travel. But pretty soon, he'll need a regular electrician. He'll need a rigger. He'll need all those installation people. And I think probably within 3 years, we'll have more of that staff here on the Western side because he is growing and he's having success. But he's doing it with the support of Eastern Washington. He's on meetings with those guys regularly and is supported by them in the work that he's doing.
Wow. And what a testament to, trusting your people. And just when you know that they're the right person, just to let him go with that is really, really beautiful. And how cool that that's turned out so well, but a really good case study, and that's important to do. It's nice to have the control of your company to be able to do that. Whereas if you're kind of in corporate somewhere, it's a little tougher to kind of have the leeway to let someone do that. So I think that's another pro to something like you're in right now. That's beautiful.
A smaller business, yeah. But wait, there's more, because that same employee now has tapped out of AVL and says, I'm ready for something new.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, so he's been with us 30 years now. And it kind of really was, what's next? Am I having a you're quitting conversation, or am I having a what is next?
What's the next investment?
So we've never had a corporate trainer. And this man is one heck of a salesperson. So he's really working on coming up with all the policies and the procedures for all the training so that specifically our salespeople get consistent training from one store to another store. So we have 6 locations, and it's just been whatever the manager could do. We've always wanted to be more methodical in our training. So right now, that's what's next. But this is just a temporary stopping point. There's more for him to do as we look at how Ted Brown is growing and what our new structure is going to look like, because it's probably time for a restructure too, especially as they talk about bringing in that 4th generation. So we're really at a time where we're looking at growth opportunities, how to make the most of the people we have, and specifically this one employee, because he's 30 years, he's still engaged, excited about coming to work at Ted Brown Music, and excited about helping to lead us to wherever it is we're going to go next. And he's got a great replacement. I mean, the people that have come behind him have been wonderful. So that's why we continue to grow and have the success that we've had. So,
well, that's a testament to you and the investment that you give to your employees and the culture that you've built as the president of Ted Brown. So that's just amazing.
Well, thanks.
And a people first thing, right? It's him as this contributor versus him doing a role. I think that's a really important distinction, and that's really beautiful. That's how you keep people through their whole careers. Is you want this brain, but you give it the freedom to go where it needs to go, because it's so rare to do the same thing for 60 years, right? I could never do it. So there's those of us that change all the time. It's so beautiful. Someone had a good home at Ted Brown that had that kind of brain.
And he's not alone. Meaning I have another guy, same thing. He started as the receptionist. He's now our band and orchestra buyer after, he's also a 30-year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Veteran.
I love this whole story and sentiment. We were talking about your leadership, and something else that you said in that Breakfast of Champions interview really stuck out to me. You said, I'm smart enough to hire people that are smarter than me and motivated to get the job done.
Exactly that.
Yeah, because if I'm the smartest in the room, we're probably all in trouble.
I think some of the best leaders, and I look to you as a fantastic leader in the industry, that's just one of those really unique traits that great leaders have. So how would you describe your leadership style, and what advice do you have for future leaders that can help them have an impact?
Well, my leadership style is definitely collaborative. And a lot of that comes from working with my sister. I need to be collaborative to work with her, or we need to be collaborative in order to get things done. Let me put it that way, because she's equally as good at that. And because we had some legacy employees that were hired by my dad, we were growing up in the business as they were growing up in the business. Mm-hmm. And so we all kind of had this vested interest, and we figured out, we've got some really intelligent people working with us, for us, all of the above. And we should listen because they have different experiences, different perspectives, and different expertise than what we have. So because of that being collaborative, it's really taken us in some great directions. I know also sometimes it can be frustrating for people because as we work together, we're super, super good at coming up with great ideas. We're not as good at implementing them because we have so many good ideas that we can't keep up with all the great things that we want to do. And so that's maybe the negative to it. But as for leaders, man, you've got 2 ears and one mouth. You should use them in proportion. And I really do try to listen when I am hearing good stuff. And my employees have good stuff to say. And it doesn't have to be my 25-year employees. It can be my high school student that's coming in that I'm meeting for the first time. And I'm talking to them about what brought you to Ted Brown Music. How come you wanted to work here? And sometimes it's just that wisdom of, well, I came here as a child because I did a preschool, field trip and you let me play instruments. And that got me started in wanting to be in orchestra. And I knew that I wanted my first job to be here because I love my instrument. And you guys are the ones that made it happen. And I don't know that that's necessarily wisdom, but that's one of those, okay, we're doing things right.
It's an aha moment.
So I try to listen. And I wish I had more time in the day, in the week, in the month to spend with my employees. As a matter of fact, our Tacoma people probably know and talk to me the least, even though I'm based in the Tacoma store, because as my store manager put it, you're doing your job while you're in the Tacoma store. When you're out visiting the other stores, you're there solely to be at that other store, and the rest of your job is being put aside. And I just had this conversation with my store manager, and she and I agreed, yes, I need to set aside some time so I can spend time on the sales floor, just kind of walking the store, because unless we meet up in the employee break room, we're not having a whole lot of those fun conversations. I don't get to ask about your dog or your new house, those type of things.
The fun little interpersonal moments that
Yes.
just make the day better.
Well, and help you know who people really are too. I
Exactly.
feel like that's important for building the whole picture of knowing how to invest in your people and how to give them what they need to succeed. The soft skills, the software.
Yes, that soft, squishy stuff. And I do try to visit the other stores. I try to get there once a month. And sometimes I can accomplish that. And sometimes weather doesn't help or just life doesn't help. But it does allow me to know, at least have met out of the 150 employees we have. I've met probably 120 of them and know most of them by name. But boy, I'm pretty much a stickler for a name tag because just in case I don't recall. It's like, oh, I see you're not wearing your name tag. Have we met yet?
I love how this is just like so naturally transitioning through the flow of the questions that we have. But I know a lot of your time also is dedicated to the fact that you are part of NAMM XCOM.
Yes.
So why was it important for you to get involved in the industry in this way?
I talked earlier about my parents. My parents led by example. They were really active in our community. They were active in locally and then a little more outside of their scope and within the music industry as well. My dad was a volunteer and actually both of my parents were on the NASMD board at one point in time. My dad is a past NASMD president and my mom was secretary for a number of years for NASMD. So giving back to the community as well as the industry is just kind of something I didn't know any different. I don't know that I'm putting that very well, but it just...
You didn't know it wasn't something to
Right.
not do.
It's just it's what you
It's
do.
just what was done.
Right. It's what you do. The industry is providing me, my family, my business with a way to do business and support to do business. So it just makes sense to turn around and give the support back to the industry and spend time making it better, stronger, promoting it so that, they say the rising tide raises all ships, so that we collectively can continue to do what we love to do. And you need people to step in and say yes. So when I got the phone call from Tom asking if I'd be interested in serving on the executive committee, I was like, wow, I really need to think about this and not just blurt out, yes, of course, because that's what you should do. Because yes, of course, it's what you should do. But yes, first of all, it's an 8-year commitment. And secondly, it takes time from my business. And so is Ted Brown Music ready for me to be absent some of the time? And do I have the stamina to commit 8 years to this volunteer job? And obviously I said yes, but it wasn't without some real important conversations being held here at the store to make sure it made sense and that Ted Brown Music could sustain what we are doing with or without my presence. And that's why it's really good to have Garrison coming in and being able to step up and step more into the role that he's going to be playing, so that I was ready. And part of NAMM's success is having people say yes and having people that are invested in the industry and not just personal success. It's not about Ted Brown Music and what Ted Brown Music benefits from me being part of NAMM. It's what the industry benefits from whatever it is I bring to the table on the executive committee.
Oh, I feel like my head's going to break. I'm nodding so hard. We're so lucky to have you in this industry. It kind of ties back to the vision of how do we have a balanced functioning industry too. You need everybody at the table that's sharing their perspective on it too. So we know which areas of the industry, which all need to be functioning healthily to have a healthy industry, need attention and what's not going well. And so in that, as Natalie said, segue is perfect. We were curious too, what are you most proud of bringing to the table? What are you most excited to bring to that kind of more joint national conversation from your perspective?
First of all, I think NAMM is doing a really good job of working on bringing in different perspectives and being thoughtful as to who comes on as a representative on the board of directors, for instance. But even outside of that, I think we're doing a really good job of considering all perspectives. As for what I bring, I definitely bring a longtime retailer's perspective. I also bring some other things in the sense that I've been president of NASMD, so president of a smaller organization that supports music retailers in the industry. I'm also on the executive committee for my Rotary Club. And I don't know if you know anything about Rotary, but Rotary is an international club that is a leadership club that does service. And the service that they do is amazing. I'm not going to go too much into Rotary, but it is about service above self. That is the motto, service above self. And they have 7 initiatives. One of them in particular, in addition to clean water and sanitation, is bringing up women and educating women and supporting women. And oh, by the way, polio is being eradicated from the world because of Rotary and the work they've done with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's just a side note, but that's health. Wow. But back to the woman thing. So what I bring is the fact that I've got this bigger scope of what we can do nationally and internationally by partnering with people in the industry, but people outside of the industry.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
And there's just so many different ways that we can partner and bring music, because if you've got a heartbeat, music has impacted your life. We don't live without music.
Yeah. Yeah. You basically answered the next question, because again, a beautiful segue, but it's no secret that in NAMM's 123-year history, there's only been one woman chair on the NAMM board of directors. So what does being a woman on XCOM mean to you?
Well, back to, I think NAMM's doing really well at working on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it has taken almost a decade to get the next woman on, but not quite. Barbara White from Taylor Guitars has served on the exec committee for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And while she has stepped away, good for NAMM, because women are at the table. We deserve a seat at the table. We deserve a voice in the industry. And I think NAMM has been really intentional in making sure that we don't lose some of the momentum that Robin Walenta and the board before her that brought her in started. She broke that glass
Mhm.
ceiling. She's done some amazing things. And it needs to be more than the token,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
but Robin didn't do it
Mhm.
alone. People paved the path for her. She had great mentors. The other person that has made a huge impact in our industry is Mary Lurson. And, and we're about to lose Mary from our voice, so to speak, as she retires.
Mhm.
And think about all of the wonderful things that she has done in a leadership role for the industry in lobbying and music education and keeping music as part of the conversation and initiating the fly-in and getting more industry people involved in the government, male and female, retailers, manufacturers, educators. Think of all the people she's brought together. So we're on our way. Our work is not done by any means, but we're on our way. And we're doing well.
Joining an already very dynamic chorus of voices. We've talked about this before too. Yeah, that I feel like NAMM is a really interesting, it's just the meeting ground of the industry. So whatever the industry is, we will see it in the microcosm of NAMM because that's just how it shows up. But I was so spoiled growing up more around the NAMM organization itself is that I had Mary. I had so many female role models to look up to because they were always there in the NAMM organization. And then it's taken a little while longer to get it to be more visible. But I love that you brought up Mary because there's been so much that has already been happening, and yourself included, to be pushing all of this forward. And it's now just time to, like, what we're trying to do here is make sure everybody knows about these voices that have been doing this for so long and that this isn't new work. This is just more visible work now, and then hopefully more supported work, and we can add more people to it. That's so beautiful.
Agreed. And I'm glad to see the board look like it does these days. When I was first on the board 20 plus years ago, I was one of two women. I was coming on as she was coming off. That was it.
Wow.
So even in 20 years, it has changed a lot. So back to good for us.
And we keep pushing forward.
Yep.
With all of this, what is your vision for how retail, how B2B, how online? Because we have all these things that are not going away. How do you, in your perfect world, see the industry evolving at its best in a really healthy way, that all of these things that are really, really intrinsic to making the music industry can actually thrive? What are you pushing for as you think about this day to day?
Well, I look at it as the perfect combination, whether it be a trio or quartet, et cetera, et cetera. I look at it as we're in this industry for fun because we love it and we want people to join us. So we're in this industry to make more music makers. If we all keep that in mind, it's about that first time player, whatever that player chooses to play. If we keep that in mind about you play an instrument, you don't work an instrument, you play an instrument. So let's make sure it continues to be fun as we think about all of our different roles, whether it be a manufacturer, whether it be a retailer, whether it be even a rep company, an educator. It's all about that music maker. So if we can all keep that in mind and work together to get that music maker making music in the first place and then continuing to make music, because we all benefit, especially the music maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my perfect world is we all see and understand that it's about the music maker. And how do we work together to keep that person making music all of their lives? And then we all win.
Yes.
Yeah, it all falls into place. That's beautiful.
So
That's
beautiful.
true.
Well, we have one more question because we like to end on a fun little note. Outside of work, what fills your cup? What brings you joy? Who are you outside of your work?
I will answer your question, but I have a question for you first if you're willing to answer for each of you.
Yeah, of course. I love when we do this. It's rare, but it's fun.
So I now know that you have done 50 episodes. And
Oh my
congratulations.
Have
Yes,
we done 50?
because I know I'm number 51. So first of all, congratulations.
Wow.
You have done so well.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to them.
You're welcome. I've been really entertained and educated thanks to listening to the podcast. So I'm not going to make you pick one, but I'm going to ask you to pick at least one and your choice. Which interview or which podcast changed your life or is your favorite?
There's so many I can't pick.
That's why I'm not going to limit you to one.
That's a perfect way to ask that question, too.
It is the perfect way to ask that question.
I need to think about that for a moment.
I'm going to go, she is my go-to, and it gives me the opportunity to pay homage to her. Kit Culpepper's episode hit me at a time that I really needed to hear it. And I feel her with me, even though she's not with us anymore. But she described her career journey as the feather from Forrest Gump, and that her feather landed where it needed to land at the right time. And I'm fully convinced that her feather was meant to land in my life at the time that it did. So I'm going to say Kit. And that was a really early episode.
Yeah, that one is just so memorable. But I think any of them where we get into that kind of more like the deep why is always just.
Oh, yeah, like Ebony Smith.
Yeah, I think just it was one that just came to mind. And I think because I think in terms of the life-changing timing of it, Kenya Moses' episode, she was a connection that I'd made through my work at the Recording Academy. And I just had always loved her and thought she was so rad. And so we were able to have her on to talk about her work. And she was one of the first people that, because I had also just gone off on my own and started my own studio. And I think talking to someone that knew how to do this and knew just to hear a voice that was so informative and exactly what I was getting out and doing, and the importance of when you need to kind of create your own ecosystem and your path and the efficacy you can have doing that was really exciting. She just is a wonderful mind. So I think one of my favorite things about all of this is just the way to make friends with these people, just to have longer conversations with so many of these women. I'm skimming this. I'm like, oh God, like I got lunch with Krista when we were at NAMM from Gibson. She just was fantastic. There's so many of my hero, Kelly Reardon now too. It's just, this is really our just evil plan to make friends in the music industry, but it just happens to be wonderful that everybody is so brilliant and so wonderful. So I think it's, but it's all the whys. But yeah, Kenya came to mind first as being at that kind of life-changing juncture that told me things I needed to hear too.
I also just want to say too that, and I've said this a couple of times, I think I said it to Cassandra Sotos after we recorded hers. I feel like every time I do these recordings, the message of the episode is something that I need to hear in that moment. I don't know what I have done to like manifest that in my life.
It's true. Well, and so much of what we're talking about, like Whitney, I just started a Substack, but my whole thing was about slow music and how do we close the loop of the music industry that is not keeping its money in itself. And how do we, like, this has been exactly where my brain is. And so I'm just so excited to just continue that conversation because I've been having it in my head for like a week. So this is exactly that, but it's all things we need to be thinking about. So yeah, we'll definitely add this to the perfect timing synchronicity ones. But thank you for asking. That's so lovely. What a good introspection.
I know.
Well, thank you for answering because, you have interviewed some remarkable women. Congratulations on your evil plan. It's working. You're making friends.
Yeah. Thank you.
And honestly, that's one of the things I hope to gain from being on the executive committee is having the chance to meet more women, just more people, period.
Yeah.
Because this is a fun place to be. And so I'm looking forward to that opportunity.
Yeah.
But for fun, what fills my cup? Well, for instance, this morning, swimming.
Oh.
I do that for fun and for exercise. And I swim in an outside pool. So even in the cold and the snow and the rain, I'm swimming. And right now, the pool doesn't have any locker rooms because they're undergoing a remodel. So you're just getting out of the pool cold and trying to towel off and put your swim coat on as soon as you can. But
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That'll make you feel alive. That's a good dose of just
it's not the polar
real life.
plunge, it's the polar walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So swimming, and for me, that's also a way to meditate, so to speak, because swimming laps is kind of boring. It gives you plenty of downtime to think. So that's a really good one for me. I read a lot, and I'm not particular about the way I read. So I listen to a lot of audibles. I typically have 2 audibles going, 1 Kindle and 1 paper book going all at the same time.
Yes.
Oh my God, I can't. That's too much for me.
Oh, no, I identify with you so much. I have like 6 books right there because it depends on what mood you're in, which one you want to pick up and where you want to go. What is on your nightstand right now?
Well, so I'm usually reading a business book, which is How to Run a Nonprofit right now. It sounds boring, but it's really not, by Peter Drucker.
Yeah.
I like historical fiction.
Yeah.
And
I love it
so I'm reading Nightingale by Kristen Hanna.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes.
I heard really good things about that.
And I'm also listening to A House at Riverton by Kate Morton. Both of those are historical fiction, but they're based, one's during the First World War and one's based during the Second World War. But I listen to a lot of Second World War stuff because you can learn so much about history, even though it's fiction. A lot of times they're based on real people's stories. And so I've read or listened to a lot of historical fiction around the Second World War. It's just really intriguing. And then,
such a good point. Such a wealth of human education.
Oh yeah.
For a speech and communication major.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate the written word. So the third thing that is really filling my cup is I have joined the best club ever, and it is the Grandparent Club.
Yay!
So my granddaughter, Oakley, she lives in Tacoma. Garrison is her daddy, and what a joy, what a love. And so all my kids fill my cup. It's really special to be a grandparent.
Oh.
So.
The littlest.
Yes.
Oh, that's just wonderful. That sounds like a good life all over.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Whitney, thank you so much for taking the time and telling your story and spreading your wisdom amongst us all. You are an incredible leader in our industry, and we're just so grateful to have someone like you forge the path forward. So thank you.
And keep us all on track too. I think we're very lucky to have your voice to kind of remind us of the why. And everybody, I'm so glad you're on XCOP. The industry needs people to be steady and remind us of why we're here and doing this. So we're just happy that you're here. We're very grateful that you're part of this.
Well, thank you. It's definitely been my pleasure to chat with you two today and have so much fun just listening to you and learning from you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Revoicing the Future. You can subscribe to the podcast on all major streaming platforms or visit our website. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Women of NAMM. This episode was co-produced and edited by Natalie Morrison, Stephanie Lamond, and Julia Olsen. Together, we can help shape the future of our industry, one interval at a time. See you next time.